I kind of miss a little bit of Gonzo sometimes. Like sometimes those days where like you come in a really slutty outfit where you're wearing like actual stripper heels and like you kind of dance around and act as like a total whore and then you get like railed.
Welcome to the Adult Time Podcast.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Bree Mills. This is the Adult Time Podcast, and I am here with the one and only Romi Rain. Welcome, Romi.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, it is this, we were saying before we started recording today, it's pretty crazy that we just recently worked together for the first time.
Honestly, yeah. Can I say what I said?
Yes, you can.
I thought you didn't like me.
Can I say what I said, which was like, no, I just work on random things, and our paths always were like this because you've definitely worked for Adult Time over the years, right? Mm-hmm. It's just that it never clicked for us personally, but a couple of weeks ago, it definitely did.
Yeah.
And I think we should I think this should be the start of a lot more. So that we get away from that.
That was fun.
That misconception.
And I love that you care about like lines and like different angles and delivery.
Yeah.
And I like how everything really matters to you on your sets.
That much, I will take that because that is true.
Yeah.
One thing you can always count on with me is that it's not a I can't wait to get home type of day. It's like, how efficient can we make this day while carrying
And it's not like a long day just for the sake of being long. You're doing things the entire time, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. Well, it was fantastic to work with you finally in person for the first time.
Thank you.
I absolutely loved it, and I like working with you.
Yay.
And we're going to talk about all the amazing stuff that you've done in your career. Because for me, I'm going to fangirl a little bit.
Oh,
okay, because you've got such a list of accomplishments.
Thank you.
And it's kind of my chance to dig in and ask all the questions that I've always wanted to ask. Please. So we're going to start with an official Ask Me Anything. Yeah. So instead of our usual icebreaker game that we're going to play, the game we're going to play is an AMA with Romi Rain. Okay?
Ask me anything.
We put together a list of questions, our team, but we also asked our fans. Okay, so I'm going to mix in, and I'll let you know which ones are fan questions and which ones came from just our internal fangirl team. But despite how popular you are, despite how much of a career that you've had, you seem to be a fairly private person. Maybe that's just a perception, but so this is me digging under the hood.
Please.
Okay, but let's start with a fan question. This is a shout out to one of our fans. We asked both our social media and our member area. So, what is your go-to meal or ritual after a shoot?
Okay, what kind of shoot is it? Because if it's anal, then French fries.
Okay.
I love French fries after anal scenes. If it's a normal scene, kind of just if it's a long day where I haven't eaten something hearty like spaghetti and meatballs or something, or if I'm trying to be healthy, like I was mentioning earlier, I'm trying to be on a salmon kick or a mixed Mexican bowl or something. Mm-hmm. I do love a good salad, but I do like hearty food. But I can't really eat hearty food on set before scenes because it kind of makes me feel a little bit weighed down. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm a food girl. And I have a horrible sweet tooth. People ask about addictions on a different set. And I'm honestly, mine is sugar, which is kind of addicting. Hence stuff like this.
I noticed there were donuts off set today. I don't know who brought them.
Not me.
But that's pure temptation right there.
It was. Luckily, I had just had my makeup done and my lipstick done, so I'm like, sorry guys. Yeah, gotta stick with the straws for right now. I do have self-control sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, so a good meal, but it definitely depends what type of scene.
Definitely depends on the scene, yeah.
Why French fries after anal?
I don't know. I love anything that's potato based, and it just it's so easy to eat and it's comforting, and I don't know, a lot of people go sushi after anal. I've never had a craving for fish after anal day for some reason. But no, it's always French fries have been a go-to. So yeah.
I find that for me, French fries are the type of food where if you're feeling any sort of way, French fries are fairly safe.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe it's just that
it's a comfort food.
It's a comfort food.
It's not, you're not going to come straight out, It'll rest for a minute.
There you go. Okay, so a good thing of French fries. What's a hobby that you're secretly obsessed with?
Well, it's not too much of a secret, but like I really, really am like kind of addicted to ASMR. Like I watch it on TikTok a lot, and I'm donating to people too. Like I'm spending money on people so they keep doing ASMR stuff because it really entertains me and it really relaxes me. I'll watch it while I'm eating sometimes, and it's like some of my favorite ones. Like they speak Russian, so I can't understand a word they're saying, but they're just the way that they talk and the things that they're doing. It just really like mellows me out and calms me down. And I guess to be honest, a side note, like reality dating shows, I will watch those sometimes more than other things.
Okay.
Because it's also kind of mindless
Oh, it's yeah.
and silly, and you can like, gossip about it with your friends. So like I've watched like every season of Love is Blind on like from every like UK.
Same.
Yeah, like it's so bad.
It's a
good.
guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, I like it. See, like my wife and I will get sucked into those shows. So we'll watch like The Ultimatum.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially there is like a
The
lesbian.
queer one.
Oh my God, we love that.
Yes, that was
we
great.
just scream at the TV the entire time.
So good.
It's so good. Yeah, it's so good. Okay, so I want to go back to the ASMR because we opened by saying like it's weird that our paths have never crossed. You know that we did do an ASMR series at Adult Time.
Ah, bummer.
Well, I mean, like all series, stuff can fall dormant. Doesn't necessarily mean it's canceled.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so you love ASMR. Do you also do ASMR series?
Yes.
Okay.
I have Safe for Work ASMR on my YouTube channel. I have Not Safe for Work ASMR on like my paid sites. Yeah, I haven't done them in like several months, but there really is a huge community for it. So I get like bugged all the time by my fans, like when's the next ASMR coming? Sometimes we'll do ASMR lives, even eating shows if like I don't feel like doing much.
Yeah.
But no, I've done Safe for Work, Not Safe for Work. I just did like a little interview not too long ago that was about ASMR, and I was the only one of the 4 who was on like that interview who actually did ASMR, and I'm like, where is everybody? I know there's more people who do it.
Yeah.
But like there's not as many who do, and I keep saying that you should because there's a big market for it.
So that's the thing that I've always found. Like, so this would have been, like a lot of things, right before the pandemic, right? So the pandemic did put a lot of stuff on hold. But right before the pandemic, I had stumbled upon the Not Safe for Work ASMR community on Reddit. And much like you said, I was like, wow, obviously it's a niche. So it's not like it's, the biggest market in the world. But in today's day and age, like it's those niche markets that are usually going to be the most successful because they're small but they're mighty, and they're loyal, and they want to pay, and they want good they're very into what they're into. And I did a test scene, and I was talking to them, and they showed me some examples of scenes they really liked, that were done by mainstream ASMR creators. But like again, for the Not Safe for Work community, they were looking for just that, like, not even so much they want to see sex filmed with the binaural audio, but like just more erotic kind of, like personal attention, role plays, that sort of thing. So I created a series called ASMR Fantasy. We probably did like 4 episodes. Some of them are still our most viewed on both Pornhub and on YouTube.
I believe it.
I mean, like Angela was in the first one, so that helps. But I loved the idea of the pairing the personal attention and the role play with ASMR and trying to do it faithfully.
Yeah.
And having every episode had a true, like, up until a certain point, it was completely legit, mainstream, safe for work. But then people that want to watch, beyond the veil, they can subscribe to do so. So it's just one of those ideas that's always in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Where it's like, had we just kept with it, pressed the gas a little bit, I absolutely could see it being a good niche series. So
I would cut my rate in half just to do it because I actually like to do it, and I think there needs to be more people who actually like to do it because I've seen people do some, and I know they're not into it.
Yeah, if you don't understand it, it just seems like a hokey, I'm going to brush my hair for 20 minutes and whisper.
Yeah, or like they're crunching like a bag of chips or something, and they think that's like...
Okay, so what would be... The whole goal for today is to generate our next collab ideas, right?
Okay.
So what would be the ideal, like what would be the role play scenario that you would want to do?
I mean, I love the personal attention. I love if you're playing like role play. A big one is the cranial nerve exam, which is really popular, where it's like you're just getting very close and you're like, okay, I'm gonna check your eyes. Like you wave like the little wands, go up and down. You're like flashing lights here and there. You're like brushing their hair. You're checking like their vitals and things like that. And I think that can very easily go into something a little bit sexual as well. Like who doesn't love like a naughty nurse? And then even things like eating certain things, like honey is very popular. So you can even be like a beekeeper who's like tasting honey and just like going through all the different little honeys. And there's certain spoons as well that have like little holes in them, or the actual like honeycomb spoons, and they make really good sounds, like kind of when you suck on them and go through your lips. I love that. Gosh, what else? There's so much good. I've even watched like people who are really good at like making themes, like rainy day car rides, or like tunnels. Like they're making little tunnels, or cleaning videos. Like I'm gonna clean your ears, and there's like this little kind of tube where you have stuff in there, and you're kind of like scraping things out and like pushing things around. It sounds so silly, but like it's amazing. Yeah. So I mean, there's almost anything you can make into an ASMR fantasy.
All right, so people listening, watching this podcast, you get to vote of all those options.
Yeah, or give us more.
Or give us more. Give us more ideas.
I love inspiration.
What I took from that Reddit group, they had shared one video, and it was such a simple video, but to me it was like the kind of the key to unlocking just the whole personal attention, kind of like broader community of niches. And it was a self-produced video, I believe European, but it's sort of a self-produced creator video called Girl on a Train, or like something like that. And it was just a POV watching a girl on a train, clearly out-filmed somewhere. And it was long, and it was just watching her doing her thing and occasionally looking up and looking at you. Cute. And then, but it really created the feeling, and eventually she comes and talks to you, and eventually you guys go, you go back to her place. But the whole thing felt so hyper real and slow, and clearly it was like, oh, a girl is noticing me. Yeah. Right? Which like so many people relate to that, regardless of who it is that you spot on the train. Like that first feeling of like, oh, they're making that eye contact. Oh, they smile. And that sense of just the rush of getting that attention. Yeah. And I thought that was really really beautiful to provide to people, because a lot of people are very lonely and they don't get that, And so, I really fell in love with that community. Yeah. So.
Same with like a restaurant. You could do that for a restaurant scene. I've seen ones where people are flight attendants and they're like taking care of you, like they're your personal flight attendant the entire flight.
Oh, that would be a good one. Yeah. I like that.
They come back with like towels and drinks. They give you like a light massage. They give you blankets. Like I love it. Yeah. That's a good one though.
Cool. No, I'm already like, I'm like, ooh, and then like you have the flight attendant outfit, and like everything would look good.
Easy to go into not safe for work.
So. All right, so clearly we like this could be a whole podcast on its own. It could. Okay, good. So we have idea number one.
Okay.
Romi Rain stars in ASMR Fantasy: The Comeback. Let's get back to the AMA. Let's get back to getting to know you. No, this was me. What's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
It would be cheat, right, to say a little ASMR. You know what? To be honest, after like a nice long day, the first thing that I do is kind of like morph into like a little lazy schlub, like immediately out of everything, put on sweatpants, usually take off my makeup. There's some days that I take off my makeup in the car, and I love having makeup on, but when like the day is done, I'm like, okay, I have nothing else to do, whoosh. Yeah. I'm like, back into like a totally lazy kind of normal person. That's my favorite thing to do, because I like to bring a lot of energy to sets. And sometimes I'm fueled with like sugar and stuff. So when it's like the end of the day, I like kind of just transform into like a homebody. And like you kind of mentioned earlier, like I am kind of a homebody, so I'm not usually like big and out there and have like a crazy like social life that I brag about, or I don't really party that much. So I love to kind of just like go home and be home. And just surround myself with creature comforts like food and TV and video games.
Queer Ultimatum.
I watch both seasons.
Me too.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, like you have to. Yeah. You have to. You can't not watch it. I find that too. Like I like to be on when I'm on set, but then I need to kind of like go back in my shell and recharge.
Recharge. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, next fan question. What's one thing that you've learned about yourself since becoming an adult performer?
That I am kind of an introvert who loves playing an extrovert. That, I love to go home and relax, and like I'm an only child, so I'm used to having like quiet spaces for myself. But yeah, when I was younger, I didn't really have a whole lot of opportunities to be like the biggest person in the room sometimes. And like, I really enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
But then, of course, I love to go home and strip it all off. But like, I really love to play an extrovert on TV, you know? So yeah, I do love to perform. I really, really do.
Where did that start from you in your life? Did you have a background of doing any kind of other performing arts?
My excuse to come to Los Angeles was I got into Lee Strasberg acting school.
Wow.
So that was my like kind of excuse to like leave town. Like I gotta go like to the West Coast. That's where things are happening. That's where I can maybe like do stuff and perform, because I didn't really do a lot of that when I was like growing up. I wasn't in theater or anything when I was growing up. But I'm like, I wanted again to play an extrovert. I wanted to have little outlets for like my energy that would get stored up sometimes. So yeah, so that was kind of my introduction to it. Though I was also a kid who loved to dance in front of the mirror. Like back when we had like Walkmans and like CDs and stuff, I had my headphones on and I would just dance in front of the mirror. So because again, I just needed outlets for this energy. And porn, I latched onto that so quickly too once I started getting into it. Well, I started with stripping because like it was great places for me to just expel like this pent up energy. And I love doing that in like big moments and then calming down and relaxing. Big moments, calm down and relaxing. But like I know I need that space to perform or to let loose. And sex work, ironically, was always a really safe space for me to do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. What would you say is the best advice that you've ever gotten in your career? Even if it was something you had to teach yourself.
It sounds kind of silly, but like really always be yourself. I think early on in like the industry, people were very into like, I have to play a character. I have to create like a character for myself. And sometimes that works for people, but I never really like did that or really even had kind of the wherewithal to do that. I was always very honest in like in my pre-scene interviews, even if it was like very slutty Gonzo, like I would be kind of silly and kind of cracking jokes sometimes. And then once the camera was on, I'd be like gagging on cock and be really surprising to them. And yeah, like always be yourself, be honest, say like exactly what you like and what you don't like. And it sounds really funny, but when I was newer, sometimes people would say my name wrong and I would correct them on camera sometimes. I'm like, actually it's Romi, like not Romi, sorry, So yeah, I was always like be very fiercely independent and very fiercely yourself. Cause like I thought if I was ever going to make it was gonna be on those terms, not by playing a character, cause that eventually is gonna break down at some point.
Yeah, or you lose yourself in the persona and you kind of lose track of who you are as the person.
Yeah.
You started in the industry in 2012, I believe, right?
Yeah, so, in porn.
In porn, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, you were doing dancing and stuff before that. So you've probably seen, much like I did, a real kind of evolution in terms of the industry.
Oh, yeah.
For the better. For the better in so many respects. But like any industry, you learn and grow as society learns and grows and evolves.
Yeah.
What would you say has been the biggest sort of transformation that you feel proud to see have come to fruition?
That our opinions as performers matter so much more now. Like people actually ask you what you like and what you don't like. What do you want to do? Like give us ideas. And obviously things like consent, like those questions and those interview questions beforehand are usually so much longer and so much more detailed. And you wouldn't necessarily be too surprised on set like we were sometimes back in the day, especially kind of in the Gonzo hardcore era. I think, and then of course, obviously performer control and different abilities to make money. So we weren't kind of at like the stranglehold of every director and producer. Like you couldn't say no to anything or else, you might not work for a while, and then
Yeah.
who knows where that money is coming from again. So all the different avenues that we now have is amazing. And the fact that we are treated more like humans, I think, is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, you said something. So in looking at the many times our paths have almost crossed, I remember you said something on Twitter that was highly influential to me and to ultimately the work that we did back at the kind of like during the first wave of the Me Too movement, when we were looking at putting formal consent practices in place. Because like a lot of companies, like you mentioned back in the day, there weren't any.
Free for all.
It was a free-for-all. It was very much dependent on the individual director and oftentimes dependent on the performers to figure it out themselves. And you said something I remember to the sort of to sum up, where you said, it's not, when you're putting consent practices in place, it's not really the responsibility of the performers themselves just to talk about it.
Yeah.
The director needs to be there. The crew needs to be there. It needs to be, everybody needs to be involved. And I remember I read that online. Obviously, there was a lot of discourse at the time. I myself was really trying to go back and look at, like, how can we do this properly? And I remember that tweet heavily influenced what we ended up doing with our consent practices. So,
amazing.
Yeah. So you not only saw it, but I know you those words rang very true in my ear at that time.
I appreciate that. A lot of some of the newbies don't realize, but like it is us like older veterans that really did push for this new era.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, 100%, 100%. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Ooh, in what way? And like on set,
What's the
off
first
set?
thing that came to your mind?
People being unfriendly on set, because I was always, especially when I was newer too, like, I was kind of a little bit of an introvert and like, didn't like interact with too many people. I had my small group of friends that like I love and know for years. But like, I really want to talk to you if we're gonna have sex. Yeah. Like, I know it's like corny for like a porn star, but I want to like you a little bit if we're about to fuck. Yeah. So I'm like, when somebody just doesn't want to communicate or connect, that always like really bothers me. I'm like, how are you gonna show up to like set and have a bad attitude? This is also supposed to be fun. Yeah. Like I mentioned off camera that like I like when a scene can turn into a little bit of laughter. Like I want the scene to be genuinely fun, even if it's like a hardcore scene or even if like we're in certain characters. Obviously, it doesn't always work with some characters, but like I am of that like old school mentality that this is supposed to be fun. Like we're having sex that people wish that they could have. Like this is a fantasy. Like let's have fun with it. Yeah. So that's usually my little pet peeve on set when like people are just purposefully crab apples and like, or showing up unprepared or showing up maybe not hygienic. That's
that's true.
I've had guys show up on motorcycles, and like one time a guy like got off his motorcycle and he just got to set and he was like, yeah, I'm ready at whatever time. And the director was so great. He was like, go in the bathroom and wash your balls, sir. Yeah. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah. So little things like that.
Yeah, I always respect when the kind of class A male talent, you can always tell them apart because they show up and immediately are like, I'm just gonna hit the shower real quick.
I love that.
Yeah, it's true. So gentlemen, please hit the shower if you're gonna be taking a long motorcycle ride. Because I want to be all
up in there, Yeah. Give me a reason to be all up in there.
Exactly. So speaking of being all up in there, another fan question. How did you like the first gangbang that you did that you filmed last year?
Okay.
And would you do another?
Well, technically, what do we call a gangbang? Because my first like airtight that also involved like different people joining in was like years ago. That was for ZZ House season 1 that I won. Yeah. So that was kind of a mini gangbang. But yeah, last year it was, I believe, 5 guys, and it was just all me. So it wasn't like a group. So I guess that was like kind of a first official gangbang. I really liked it. It was fun. Again, it's like everybody's in a good mood. Yeah. Everybody wants to be there. Like, sometimes the guys can get a little insecure because, I always say when it comes to group scenes, the male casting matters so much. Oh, yeah. Like they got to want to be there. They have to honestly not be insecure to work with other guys or be close to other guys. Yep. Your penises might touch guys. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like sometimes that's for the betterment of the scene. So yeah, they were all really chill and really into it. And sometimes I like being a little selfish. I loved all that attention, that everything was on me. And like, I almost felt like I was barely performing because they were moving me around a lot and like I was getting placed and thrown. And I was like, oh my God, I felt like such a lady, to be honest. It made me feel very femme.
Were you involved at all in the creative behind the concept?
Like we talked about what we were going to do during the scene. I asked like who was comfortable with what. I'm like, okay, who wants to be the anchor? Who's like okay with like doing this and this and this over here? Can I put all of your dicks in my mouth at the same time? Like, yeah, and like you can do this while he's doing that. Like, oh yeah, I like to be involved if I can. Like I do. There's been times that I've come on set with like positions in mind that like I really want to do that I think like look or feel really cool. So I try to be involved if I can, though I do like when a director knows what they want to see. I do always ask that. Like, is there something you want to make sure that happens and then we can kind of play around it. Yeah. I like when a director kind of lets us go.
Yeah. I always like to make that balance between like, because I typically am a director whose strengths lie in working on all of the build up to the sex scene. I call myself a lousy pornographer in the sense that when it comes to the actual sex itself, like I'm always thinking more about the story.
Yeah.
But you cast great people together, you tell a good story, and then you keep them in the zone and the sex starts, and then, you guys are the pros at that too, right? So it should all work out, right? And when it does, it's magic.
Yeah, and it's so fun. Like I like when I do have something of a character because then you can throw little one-liners in like during the scene. Yeah. So that's really fun. So I do like that. I like a little bit of direction.
Yeah. What's a trend in porn that you wish would come back?
Again, like there's good and bad elements to it, but I kind of miss a little bit of Gonzo sometimes. Like sometimes those days where like you come in a really slutty outfit where you're wearing like actual stripper heels and like you kind of dance around and act as like a total whore and then you get like railed. Yeah. Like every once in a while, like I just want to get railed. Yeah. So yeah, I wish there was a little bit more of a blend, but I love features. I love like having the opportunity to do like a little acting and like character development is really cool. But yeah, I feel like it kind of died out a little bit, mainly because there was usually a little bit of a problem with things like consent and like being streamlined and people being taken care of and aftercare and those kind of things. But yeah, a little Gonzo here and there was fun.
Yeah.
And like, I know I just did one for you, but I feel like there used to be a lot more orgies back in the day. I love a good orgy.
Good orgy's fun.
Yeah. It's really easy to stay busy.
It's easy to stay busy. It can sometimes be chaotic to film.
Yeah.
But when you've got the right crew configuration and you've got the right people together, it's fun to sit back sometimes and like just watch like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like when we did Menopausal Stepmommy and we had the orgy there and I'm sitting there going like, this is wild.
Yeah,
there's just 10 people right now. These boys are being just thrown around.
Love that.
The stack, the four ladies stack. Nick Stroke's face as he's like staring down the barrel, which was totally genuine. It was very sweet to see. But yeah, orgies, it's funny. Orgies are the type of thing like from having to look at also like the other side of the coin and look at like, what people are buying and what people are liking on that front. It's just, you either love it or you hate it. It's one of those sort of polarizing things, right?
I feel like that's what makes it tough. It's hard to cast.
Yeah, it's hard to cast, and people are either, as like consumers, are either really into the group stuff or they hate it.
Yeah.
So, it's always going to be a bit polarizing in terms of the results. But they're super fun.
They're fun. They are really fun. And they go by fast.
Yeah.
I think they go by really fast.
They go by fast. You can do the craziest positions usually when you got that many folks. And there's been some epic orgies in porn history. When I think back on some of the, kind of great projects, there's been some really, I think Caden did that like last dinner one point.
Yeah.
That was an amazing one.
I wish I was in that one. That was cool.
We did one years ago that probably showed, we were a little green at that point, but we had found a house that had a big empty garage with an epoxy floor. And I was like, the movie that I was doing involved women who were kind of coming under the spell of an evil lesbian organization. And they were, I don't know how it involved squirt, but there was a lot of like fluids involved. And I had this idea of this bird's eye shot. We would start on, I think, Riley Reid, who is in the movie, and we were going to pull up and reveal that she was in this sort of swarm of oily, like 10 girls, and it was going to be this orgy.
Yeah. Love an oil scene, too.
With baby oil.
Oh.
That was a disaster.
That's the problem.
Baby oil, epoxy floors. Let's just say nobody got hurt.
Good.
Thank God.
Good.
I would never do it again.
Okay.
Because the risks of someone getting hurt would have been high.
Yeah. At least not with shoes.
Yeah. I mean, they were all nude.
Oh, good.
But that kind of made it more slippery.
Uh-huh.
And we did have to pay a lot in damages for that epoxy floor.
Oh, yeah. I wonder that sometimes, because sometimes there is a little damage to like floors and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that one was not a good decision. But, you know, it still made a great scene. It's a great scene.
I bet.
It's iconic, but there was some lessons learned. How do you see the porn industry 10 years from now? This is our final fan question.
I mean, I hope that we don't lose the classics. Like, I hope we're not losing like the features and the orgies and the gonzos and like kind of the personalization. I love AI to a degree. I use ChatGPT, but like I am a little bit nervous about it maybe taking over porn too much, and it like porn becomes less organic and less real.
Yeah.
Like I love when people are really connecting and are having like real moments. So I hope that doesn't get too far away. I think in some ways, like, we're in a different golden age of porn. So, like, I think especially combining, like, when I first started into now, I think the possibilities are kind of now endless, and technology is getting so much better, which is great. Like, cameras, microphones, all of that. People are getting more creative. So I kind of hope, like, it stays a bit on this trajectory, but doesn't get lost too much. And can I say something controversial?
Go for it.
I hope that we still care about performers who really want to be in porn, because we do have a little trend where like, and again, I've worked with a lot of these people, a lot of them are amazing, but like, it used to matter a lot more if you wanted to be in porn and you shot a good scene and you were willing to work a lot. Nowadays, because it kind of matters a little bit more to some companies if you have a big social media profile following. And hey, that doesn't really bother me because I have a big social media profile following because I've been in this game for so long.
Yeah.
But like, I've even heard directors and performers like complain recently about like, this girl is so hot and she's such a great performer, but she has 30K followers on Instagram, so she's not getting hired the way that she should. And I'm like, that is such a bummer. Like, I want to perform with people who want to perform, who want to have sex. And it's like, it's important to have restrictions and yeses and no. But if you're telling me on set that you don't want to kiss, like, what are we doing?
Maybe you're not in the right.
Exactly. Like, now you're just kind of using us as props just to get like another 100,000 followers on Instagram or just to the OF or whatever. And I'm like, that's great. That's great. I get it. But like, I don't want porn stars to die. So that's my little, again, that's showing my age. But back in my day, you actually had to like porn and shoot porn to be in porn.
But I will say, like, I'm gonna just throw a kernel on this because you know I think you're definitely right that like the game has shifted because in so many ways progress has been made in terms of different revenue streams available, more performer agency, and you know performers really being equal brands to studios these days, right? That's all been super positive. That playing field being leveled is a super positive thing. It means that those of us working together now are coming from a place of collaborating as equals, right? Like when you and your brand come and work with our brand, it's our brands coming together. It's not, I'm hiring you for this and you got to do this, this, and this. And like, you know, like we're doing it for mutual benefit. And that's amazing. But the real reality is that clout does not often translate into actual subscriptions to companies.
True.
Because people that have big fan bases, maybe those people are going to their OF and that's great. But they're not necessarily going to go subscribe to a porn site. And, you've done this with us. We regularly work with performers on different, influencer campaigns.
Yeah.
And what we've found from kind of casting a wide net to work with performers on, paid promotional campaigns for scenes they've done with us, is that sometimes you can have the biggest following. Nobody's going to join the site.
It's true.
Right? And it's true. You
Especially
can have the
if they can
biggest
tell
following.
that maybe you're not really into it.
Yeah, or the people that you've got that are following you are not following you for that.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there are people that have, an eighth of that person's following that are like whales. They're sending tons of people because their fan base, even though it doesn't have the numbers, those people are really loyal and love that performer and love their work and will go wherever that performer is going to support them.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's true. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
So, and what I love about doing those campaigns is that, one, it's another way to work with performers that's equal footing. And two, it gives us really interesting insight into which performers' fan bases are complementary.
Yeah.
And it's not always the biggest.
It's
when you
true.
find one that has a big following, and I know that we've done good, successful campaigns, and you have a good following, and your fans follow you and come and see stuff.
Yeah.
That's a win-win.
They know I like porn.
They know exactly, but it is not always the case. So companies that are blindly doing it just for the clout, it's kind of a lost leader.
Yeah, that's why it's like, don't not shoot a girl because she doesn't have a giant following. Because she could potentially be an amazing big thing. You don't know.
Yeah.
So I just don't want it to completely lean towards just a following nowadays.
No, it's very true. Very, very true. All right, so we asked a lot of AMAs. I want to go back and talk about a little bit about your career, right? And so you entered the industry in 2012, and would you say that was, so that would have been, well, you would have entered the industry, you started doing dancing.
And then camming.
And then camming. So you did the kind of classic trajectory.
Yeah.
So tell us your origin story. Like, how did you get to become the Romi Rain that we know today?
It sounds so weird and maybe not a great thing, but I always loved the burlesque and dancers. Ever since I was young, I loved watching women dancing. And so I always really wanted to try that out, even though I'm not very flexible and I'm not the best dancer. I have a lot of passion, okay? So I actually, because I think there was even another question that mentions it, sex wasn't too taboo when I was growing up. So I actually, through family and people who know people, I actually knew people who were in sex work.
Yeah.
I knew some people who did a lot of magazines, and I knew people who were dancers. So I actually could ask questions and kind of, peek into that a little bit, and not when I was underage, FYI.
No, but in a way that wasn't full of shame and stigma.
Yeah. They're like, oh my God, she's a stripper.
Yeah.
No, it was almost cool.
Yeah.
Well, like I said earlier, I moved out to LA at 18 with the excuse of pursuing acting. I wasn't really trying to pursue acting necessarily. I got into stripping less than a year into me being into LA, and I danced under the name Rain, which is my moniker, my last name. And I just really, really enjoyed it and had a great time. I picked songs that I loved, and I just kind of went with the flow of the song. So I was kind of playing a little bit of that character on stage. I did that off and on for a while. I moved to Vegas for a hot second, danced there for a minute, then did bottle service for a second, and then came back and then started doing webcam work. I worked for Playboy Live back when it was kind of a big thing. And then they kind of started doing a little bit of kind of scene work, or hey, would you do a show with a girl? And I'm like, yeah, because I was always bisexual. Yeah. My first kiss was a woman. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So then it kind of developed from there. Then they kind of started hiring me for little things like that. And I'm like, I think I want to do this. This is really cool. I think I could do this. And at the time I was dating a guy who it wasn't really working out. And I told him to his face, I'm like, hey, just so you know, if we ever break up, I'm doing this. So don't get shocked. And he did end up calling me when he saw me starting to do it. Immediately kind of after that, when I was 24 is when I kind of started taking pictures and doing that kind of stuff. And I got officially in when I was 25, turning 26. I think my first shoot, solos were for RK. My first BG was for Naughty America. My second BG was for Brazzers. And I remember coming back from Vegas on the plane after that first shoot with Brazzers, and I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I actually had a lot of confidence, and I'm like, I think I can make this work. Like, if I try to make good decisions and really have fun with this, like, I can make this work. I'm so excited. I was so excited. I had a thing for a while where people would get mad at me for showing up to set too early.
Yeah.
I would beat the makeup artist and the director and the cameraman. So I was so excited when I was new, even though I wasn't the cliche 18-year-old getting in, but I was glad that I got in in my mid-20s because I had a slightly better head on my shoulders. But yeah, that's kind of how I started. It was full steam ahead from there.
What it makes me smile hearing you say about those early moments where you really felt like, oh my gosh, I love this and I can do this, and that enthusiasm. What was it about the industry, especially as you were just getting into it, that you fell in love with?
I love performing.
Yeah.
I think bare bones of that. I loved getting glamorous. I love a good makeup artist. And before I got into porn, I had sex with less than 10 people. I was kind of more of a relationship girly. And again, I don't really go out and party and stuff. So I rarely just bumped into people that I would just casually have sex with. For me, it was also kind of a sexual awakening. I was in a polyamorous thing right before porn, but it was I got to actually experiment and play with people, and it was a different experience every time. And I really like sex, even though I didn't have it so much before porn. So it was my kind of sexual freedom, sexual awakening. And apparently I perform I like sex. So people really liked that. They're like, wow, she's really into it right away. We don't have to tell her to do too much. So I actually got booked pretty early and often when I was new. And I just let's do it. I took pretty much every gig. I was so down. I still had limits here and there. But no, I was just so excited. I'm I love this. And even when I was reading lines, I'm I have a decent memory. So I'm this is fucking easy. Let's go. I'm I say a few lines, I look gorgeous, and then I get pounded into the ground. This is awesome. Yeah. So it was I was a kid in a candy store in my mid-20s. So it was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I remember for me, because I was like all porn people, I was living in Montreal, a world away from LA. And when I first started coming to visit LA, I remember I was so taken aback by, and of course, to a degree, rose-tinted glasses, right? But I was so taken aback by how much fun everyone was having on set, and how much people cared, and we were all scrappy and trying to make this movie, and especially back in that day, it was long hours, but people didn't really complain back then because we were all really trying to make this movie. And I grew up doing a lot of theater. And I remember it just felt like a theater group. Yeah. And so I started to make, when we started Girls Way, started to make movies from Girls Way. I would come down once a quarter. It was I got to come down and hang with this group of people who were super passionate, and a group of performers who were super passionate. And it was just like theater camp. Yeah. And I loved that.
Like-minded people.
Yeah.
You all were there for the same reason. You are there to have fun and be sexual and just be wild.
Tell these sort of silly stories and and I remember one of the first people that I met as an actor was Charlotte Stokely, and meeting her, and Abigail Mack, and a lot of those people way back in the day, and just people that were just fun. And it for me, it wasn't until I had taken moved to LA, completely uprooted my life in that usual trajectory, and sort of settled in. Then you start to sort of see, oh, okay, maybe it's not quite as rosy, but those first couple of years, it was so fun. Yeah. And it's still for me, what we did a few weeks ago.
So fun.
So fun.
Yeah.
We could be working in a factory right now. We could be working in a boring office. We get to go and tell these stories and all hang out and make something together, and that's just so fun.
Yeah. My job is to get glamorous and have sex with people who are really good at sex. That's awesome. And sometimes it turns into a movie, and sometimes you get awards for it. Yeah. And you get these crazy opportunities. Being in porn has taken me to other countries. And it's wild. So it's funny when people say porn can't take you anywhere. kind of honestly can.
Oh yeah.
So
I
it's
met the love of my life in this industry, my family, like all of the people that like I hold near and dear. Seeing so many people like grow, like to do other things in their careers. Like a lot of our most successful directors we work with were performers back when we all started working together and have grown. Yeah, it's cool. It is a community, you know? Yeah. Through thick and thin. So you've had some pretty impressive accolades during your time. Okay, so you won Performer of the Year at XBIZ.
Yeah.
You've hosted the AVN Awards. You've probably won countless other awards as well. Do you think that award recognition matters in this industry? You talked about like keeping the classics like features. That's always something that gets on the chopping block because features are not always necessarily as profitable as, you know, those like vignette scenes that people churn out. So what do you think about, especially as we look to the future and all the changes happening, like what do awards and that kind of recognition like mean to the industry and what do they mean, say, to yourself as a performer who's won a bunch?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because like some people have been around forever and are amazing performers and get hired constantly and have never won an award. Does that mean they're bad performers? No, they get hired all the time and they're amazing. But sometimes you can't necessarily, recognition is amazing, but you can't always like hold your hat to it because there's only so many awards they're giving out. And sometimes it really is about like what's hitting that year. Sometimes there's one big movie or like one big showcase. So you have to just kind of like take it with a grain of salt and look at it from a business perspective. Are you working? Are your bills paid? Are people still calling you? That matters more than awards. It really does. Of course, it's amazing to have recognition because we usually do work so hard and sometimes it is our full-time job. So I'm very grateful for the awards that I've gotten. But can I tell you something funny?
Yes, you can.
I've hosted the AVN Awards, which is something that very few people get to do.
Yeah.
But I've never won an AVN award.
Okay, there you go.
So that you know what I mean?
So, yeah, exactly.
I've won a bunch of XBIZ awards, but like, so that's a funny thing. Like AVN thought I was like a good enough representative of the industry to host their show. Yeah. But for some reason, none of my like movies or scenes have won. Yeah. So like, again, does that mean I suck? Absolutely not. So you think you have to take it with a grain of salt, like be very happy and grateful for everything, but just like keep going. Again, are you working is like the biggest thing. Are you working? Are people still calling? Are your bills paid? Do you have a big following? Like, do people like you? Are you likable? I think that matters like more than anything else. But of course, everybody does get a little bit sad around award season. And I'm one of those people that's notorious for like tweeting out, you know, not everybody's going to win. Like, hold your head up. You like only a handful of people are going to leave the show excited and a lot more people are going to leave the show disappointed. So please don't let that like that after show depression hit you too hard because it hits a lot of people really hard. And I totally understand it, especially like the younger ones because like they're new, they're giving it their all. And sometimes they're being hyped up a little bit too much and being told, you're going to win, you're going to win. And it's like, be careful saying that to somebody because sometimes like you might break their heart. So I think it matters and it doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah. No, I feel it like, and it's also too, I think there's so much, and it's natural, right? Like we're obviously all creatives. We're trying to put out our best work, you know, and there's a certain, like, you know, you want to see that recognition.
For sure.
And I think there's a certain number of years where like that's really important. And, you know, if you're blessed to win ones, then you enter a weird phase where you're like, well, I either need to just keep winning and then everybody hates you, right? Or like you start to get, you know, more frenemies than anything else. Or you don't win, and then you're like, well, am I a has-been?
Yeah,
so it's almost...
It is tough.
It is tough. But it's, you know, like for me, like I always look at it where it's like, okay, you know, looking at the nominations. Nominations are a great sign of, you know, even if it's not going to be the one that gets picked, it's great to see that recognition. And if people that are associated with you win, that's winning by extension. And like at the end of the day, you don't want to be the guy that wins like 10 years in a row because
you kind of don't, because then it seems borderline unfair.
Yeah.
And then like that's when people kind of like scratch their heads and then get upset. And it's like, then did they really deserve it as more as I did? Like, are they really like the best person in the industry for 10 years? Like, people don't like that. But yes, it's an honor to be nominated. And a thing too, now that there's fan awards, it's an honor to be nominated for fan awards or win a fan award. Like one of the awards I won at XBiz last year was Fan Favorite MILF.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the fans just told me that they like me the most.
Yeah.
So that's a really big deal. And like those people are the ones paying for my products. So
exactly,
that's a big award.
Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned earlier that you grew up in a household where sex wasn't necessarily taboo. What maybe like open the lid a little bit in terms of, because I think it's important. There's so much misconception about, like, of course, you know, one wants to give age appropriate information. One wants to, you know, make sure that nobody is unnecessarily exposed to something beyond what they should be. But there's no consistent sex education. It's really down to how you grow up, what religion you may or may not grow up in, what socioeconomic position you may or may not be in, your family background. And to me, that causes so much more harm than just being open within your family about, hey, this is this really important thing in life called sex. Yeah. So maybe like tell us a little bit about how it wasn't taboo for you growing up.
And to be honest, I was pretty lucky. I grew up in Boston.
Hey, I'm from Boston.
Hey, yeah, I love that.
There you go.
Mainly around, but I've lived in different little areas around. And like, for some reason, there was sex education in most of like the schools that I went to, and some in different schools in different years, they kind of repeated it. So like, I never grew up being like, oh no, what's a penis? What's a vagina? How does it all work? Like, I always kind of knew and was taught, and like, sex was relatively talked about like around in my household, and like, you know, my mom wasn't afraid of it, and again, she had friends who were in the industry, so I literally was associated with like people in the and they were, and the thing is too that I also like learned young, which took away a lot of taboo for me, is they were so nice. Yeah, like sex workers can be so nice and so understanding and so generous and so honest, and I really liked that. And I'm like, oh, you're not scary. Like, this isn't scary. You can just be a normal person who just does sex work as a job. So I think that really helped me, like, not, you know, feel too much stigma or be afraid of getting into things. And it sounded like almost more fun for me. It sounded like more of a fun experience. Again, like, some people might not like me saying it that way, but it seemed interesting. It seemed cool. It seemed like cool people were around and like were a part of this, and that it is a big world. There's a lot of things you can do. Like, so yeah, it just wasn't very taboo. And I always kind of, again, I knew I was bisexual relatively young. And again, I liked watching girls dance. So I'm like, I want to like do this and like, be a part of it and see what happens. And obviously I like guys too, but again, I was kind of shy, a little bit of an introvert. So I'm like, this can really be possibly an outlet for me to like really like get out there and explore. And I really kind of wanted to. So like, sex work a little bit was like kind of part of my destiny in a weird way, and it never scared me. Like, I didn't get into stripping because I had to. I didn't get into camming because I had to. I didn't get into porn because I had to. Like, I wanted to. In a way, I facilitated like every step of the way that I got into the industry, and that's not the way for everybody, and like that's unfortunate, but it just was always something that seemed interesting and not scary. Sex was just never scary to me.
One of my favorite questions to ask, because it's different for everybody, but it's really fascinating, is when you go back and kind of think your earlier memories, right? Like, and your first sort of experiences seeing sexuality. Is there a movie or like a TV show or some form of media that you remember that was a sort of an early spark of, oh, I'm feeling a certain way?
Kind of, and which is the kind of reason why I like the mixture of like Gonzo and acting, because remember like Skinamax?
Oh yeah.
I used to kind of stay up a little late, and like when like my grandparents were asleep and I was sleeping over their place, I had like a whole room and a TV to myself, and like I would watch the Skinamax movies, and like they would have plots and they would have like outfits and set design, and the women would be gorgeous, and then it would like sometimes it wouldn't be completely hardcore because it was a borderline softcore. But I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. Like, this is hot. Like, this is gorgeous. These people look amazing, and they look like they're having a good time. So besides like watching scrambled porn.
Yeah, I was gonna say I totally watched.
Well, I watched scrambled porn
totally
too.
watched scrambled porn.
But my grandparents and people in my family had like, what do they call, like the black box back in the day. We were kind of like stealing it. I remember watching a lot of like Skinamax when I was younger, if we don't count like, watching, dancers and burlesque. And then like to this day, I watch it when I was a teenager. One of my favorite movies without any humor involved is Showgirls.
I was gonna ask.
I love Showgirls. Yeah. That's when they say, like, what movie could you watch every day? I could watch that movie every day. Yeah. And in some ways, like, I relate to certain parts of it. And I think most sex workers could if they really watch the movie and they can get over that, the flagrant pool sex scene. Though I've said before, if that scene was a porn scene, it would have won awards. I do not care. People would have loved that performance. Yeah. But
no, listen, it was an epic in its own right. I just, my only memory of Showgirls, because I think I have seen it, but it was a long time ago, was just Burt Reynolds. Like, Burt Reynolds Vaseline in his shoes. That's all I remember about Showgirls. Yeah.
You know what? And oh my God, like the girl from Saved by the Bell.
Elizabeth Berkley.
Yes, she was so hot to me.
Do you know that they're bringing Saved by the Bell back?
Really?
They're bringing it back. And some of the original cast members are going to be in it, but they're doing it as a kind of, not a parody of itself, but like a true kind of like homage to what it was. So it is in a sense kind of poking fun of itself, but it's all the people that made it that are, anyway.
I hope she's in it.
Check it out. She's in it, yeah.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, I was a big Saved by the Bell kid.
Because I know that kind of messed up her career a bit doing Showgirls, but I think if it came out now, it wouldn't be seen as crazy or taboo.
No.
And fun fact, that's how I got my first name. People think I got it from Romy and Michelle's high school reunion, which I also think is ridiculous that that's not a porn parody. It was made for a porn parody, first of all. Yeah. But I got it from Nomi Malone. She was like, my name's Nomi. My mother was Italian. And I'm like, Romy. My mother was Italian.
There you go.
So yeah, that's where I got Romi Rain from.
Okay, so we're going to do a segment that is presented by one of the presenters of this episode.
Okay.
All right, so this is going to be Porn Bucket List. Okay, so presented by...
Oh my God, what's next?
I am going to have you share what you would like to cross off your porn bucket list. Okay, so when you joined the industry, was there anything that you immediately wanted to cross off your bucket list?
I wanted to do my first three-way because I really like three-ways. I was in a three-way relationship for a little while, but the key is the girls liking each other. Yeah. So I always wanted to really do a three-way really fast. I wanted to do a boy-boy-girl really fast, but those can be like, hard to do or find sometimes, at least back in the day. Orgies, again, love orgies. But one thing that I still haven't really done that people say is hard to make just for like kind of logistics and how people like to perform with each other is I want a gangbang that involves men but also involves women. Okay. But I'm the focus.
Okay, tell me. Oh, so it's just like, so it's like men and women on you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's like I've never really seen that. I've had an all-girl gangbang. I've had like all-guy gangbang. But people have told me it's like, well, because then performers want to perform together, and like I totally get that. But again, I'm trying to be greedy here. Yeah. Like and as a bisexual, I'm like, this would be amazing. I want like girls and guys all at the same time, like using me, taking turns, me doing whatever I can to try to please them all at the same time. I haven't really seen that. You either see reverse gangbangs or you see gangbangs, but you never see like a combined where it's only centered on one person.
Okay, so this might be idea number 2. Let's see here. Okay, right. So because my second question was, is there anything that you haven't yet done that you want to cross off? So let's break this down. Now, one of the things with gangbangs that's always comes into question is how many people constitute a gangbang, right? I believe it's 5. it's 5 that's considered
Yeah.
the number, right? So would you stick to a 5 configuration and then make it like 3 guys, 2 girls, or 3 girls, 2 guys? Or would you look to like, would you be going for like a crazy?
The first thought is even more.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Yeah, you almost feel like you want 5 and 5.
Yeah, I would be down for that.
Yeah.
But again, I know it's so tempting for people to work together. And like, I wouldn't mind if like performers kind of played a little bit with each other, but like, I want to see a gangbang with both men and women where one person was the true focus. But yeah, I mean, I would take anything. You can give me like 3 girls, 4 guys. Yeah, like something like that.
Well, I think if like it was all about you and your pleasure, right? There's a certain number of bodies that can be on you at any one time. But it could also be, like you kind of orchestrating, like, I want the 2 of you to fuck in my face.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, I would do that. That would be great.
Because the focus would still be on you, but it would allow a larger group of performers to like not necessarily be waiting in the wings.
Yes, and I do kind of like telling people what to do during sex sometimes. So that would be really cool. Like, do this because you're doing it for my pleasure. Yeah. Like, I want to see this happen while I'm getting fucked by this guy. Yeah. Like,
there you go.
Eat her pussy right now. Oh,
well, in that case, you could do the 5 and 5.
Yeah.
Because then it would be like,
that's true. So they couldn't do anything unless I told them to do it. Oh, I would love that. And it's still,
you would have to, because like one of the challenges filming any kind of like large scale scene is you never want people to break off,
and
right?
run away, yeah.
Well, yeah, because then you usually with an orgy, you've got a 3 camera setup. And they're able to kind of mobilize around the action. But if you've got 2 people here, 3 people here, 2 people over there, like, what are you going to shoot, right?
Yeah.
So you want them all to be in a cluster. So if you are like the conductor of the scene and everybody's got to either be fucking you or fucking right around you, it stays quite tight. It fills the frame. Yeah. And then that becomes really visually interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, even that could work with like a 3 girls, 3, 4 guys. Yeah. Because then, hey, like I'm technically like the 4th girl. So then it's like an 8-person kind of gangbang. But again, there's like there's the queen of the room.
Yes, exactly.
I want to be the queen of the room.
Okay. So people watching and listening, if you like this idea, let us know.
Let
us know. Because I can think of a few of our brands, obviously sponsors by but I think of like a Hard X or a brand like that, right? Or like one of our brands could be really fun for that. But okay, so anything else beyond the queen scene that you've yet to cross off that you'd like to conquer?
I don't know. I think like at this point I've been getting there with like most things I've done. I've done the DPs, airtight, gangbangs, orgies, all-girl gangbang. It's tough. I mean, so honestly, at this point, certain role play characters. Yeah. Like I've done a ton of Gonzo. I've obviously done like a good amount of features and stuff too. But like I kind of in a little bit more at this point want to do a little bit more character-driven stuff. Like I kind of want to be in like a few more features. So I can really I can be playing a role even while I'm having sex. Like again, almost throwing those one-liners in like while you're doing it. So I honestly kind of want to do a little bit more of that at this point. Like give me a character to fuck with.
What would be like a dream character for you?
Oh, that's so tough. I mean, I've been like the teacher so many times. I've been the secretary so many times. I've been a superhero a bunch of times. Yep. Those are really fun. Yep. In a fucked up way, like I honestly thought of this when I was watching some of your trailers like a few years ago. I've never really played like kind of like a broken down borderline, not like necessarily ugly, but just like
that sounds like a good description.
No, but I mean like, kind of just like a bad character, a bad girl or like somebody who wasn't trying to be prim and proper and gorgeous all the time. And hey, I love looking gorgeous. But like, I'm like, give me something meaty. Give me something to chew on. Give me something where I can like really try to act or be crazy. I'm like, let me go crazy. Yeah. So like, I'm kind of itching to do something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Put in the mental Rolodex. So you did get a chance. I want to plug this a little bit because I think this podcast may come out before this release, but we just did this epic release together. So I want us to talk about it a little bit because I want all the fans to get excited. So Menopausal Stepmommy.
Yay.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about this project and the character you play.
Well, this project, it is about a bunch of women who are going through different stages of life and maybe are losing their libidos or maybe not being treated the way they want to be treated or maybe not feeling beautiful. They need like a way to release their inhibitions and to feel themselves again. And my character named Veronique actually is almost like an MLM salesperson in a way.
For sure.
But she like comes into this story with like a magic keys, a magic set of keys that like she gives to each woman, and they are able to release their inhibitions and they become like these sexual feral women. And I like my character in that way because I do love playing characters too that are a little bit like bougie and very in control, because that's very easy for me to just kind of fall into. So I like kind of take over the room in a way and turn all of these women into like ravenous whores.
Yes,
And
it was remarkable to see.
It was amazing. And then I got to dive in and like be a part of the whole thing. But honestly, it's beautiful. It's kind of a coming of age. Like
It is.
we're freeing women and letting them be their best selves, and also showing that even if you're a MILF, sometimes MILFs fuck like the best of them.
Oh, yeah.
So do not underestimate MILF sex, because we will destroy you.
And we ended the featurette with a 7-on-3 MILF orgy.
Yeah.
And it
7
was
girls,
incredible.
3 guys. We used those boys every which way we could. They used us every which way they could.
The look of glee on those boys, on Axel Hayes, Nick Strokes, and Max Phills, the look of just, they couldn't believe what they were seeing and participating in.
They didn't have to act very much.
They did not have to act. That wide-eyed, like enthusiasm was very real.
It was a good day for everybody, I think. And it really is one of those movies, like I mentioned earlier, where like you get to like laugh and have a good time and interact during the whole process and say, hey, you come here, let's do this. I'm gonna get on top of you. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Like, so it really is one of those fun but very wildly sexual scenes that I like. And you were an amazing director. You told us things that you wanted us to see, but then you also kind of let us go the whole time to just have a free for all. And I think if like you're a true diehard porn fan, like that's some of the porn that everybody should like.
Yeah.
So I think there's something for everybody there. So I'm excited for it to come out.
It caps off because it was sort of the last sort of big specialty project for me this year. And this year has been a year of just casting MILFs in all the leads. And it has been such a joy. And that was like the perfect end cap because it was a fun story. It was a pulpy story. I kept thinking it was like a John Waters film in my mind. Like in my mind, if we had unlimited budget, it would just look like, a John Waters film. You all were amazing. It was fun. The energy was great. It was tackling a serious subject, right? In terms of like middle-aged women having a coming of age and having, a lot of self-esteem issues about one's sexuality and one's physical body and like just what you go through during, the 10 to 15 years, pre and post menopause. And that never gets talked about in porn, but it's anybody who's, 40s plus is experiencing it. And there is, I think, an important message in there about like confidence and about confidence amongst women and the fact that like hands down the best sex you're gonna see is a 7-on-3 MILF orgy. So
and sometimes the older you get, the more sexual you get.
Absolutely,
I know a lot of women who have like their sexual awakening in their 30s and 40s. I'm in my mid 30s and I'm kind of like hornier than I was when I was 18. So I get it.
100%. So that was good. It's going to be coming out within the next few months. It will be on Adult Time, and as soon as we have a date, we'll start teasing it out because of the trailer's going to be wild. I'm excited. Okay, so I want to ask one question about you becoming a certified sex educator because to me that's really important and interesting. Tell me what led you to want to pursue that and kind of how you've been, how that's become a part of your life in the last years.
Well, my main thing, especially like a handful of years ago when the industry was starting to get a little bit more mainstream and people were talking about it and doing like interviews or like specials or behind the scenes, I would get annoyed sometimes when there would be like interviews and podcasts and documentaries and specials talking about porn or sex or the lives of sex workers, but there wouldn't be actual sex workers speaking on any of this. But they were like under the guise of like, well, this is an intimacy coach or this is a sex educator. And it's like, they do not necessarily know more. Most porn stars are natural sex educators. You've been in this industry a few years, you're a sex educator to a degree.
Yes, yeah.
So I really pursued it and just like did in-person classes, which was wild. And I was the only porn star there. There was like somebody who was writing erotic fiction. There was somebody who ran an adult store. There was somebody who was writing their thesis. So it was very interesting to actually be in a classroom. It was been a long time since I've been in a classroom like that for weeks at a time, just learning mostly things I kind of already knew, a lot of things about like anatomy and like BDSM and consent and things like that. But again, I mainly wanted to do it because I did not want an excuse that if I was ever in a room and people are talking about sex and sex education or porn or sex workers, they're not going to speak for me. So I just really wanted to be able to have an extra voice in the room if I was ever in rooms like that. So,
have you brought any of, you know, because we spoke about kind of the lack of consistent sex education and the fact that, you know, sex work and porn should not be by default sex education, but let's face it, people go and as soon as they can type sex, you know, they're going to see porn. And for a lot of people, that's how they start to try to model themselves. So like, I've always been really interested in finding the intersectionality between what can we put out there that is entertaining and that is erotic and is sexual, but also can carry an educational message. And trying to find that balance between being too like PSA or like, you know, nobody wants to watch, you know, a sex ed video. But like almost Trojan horsing some of those important messages into the content. Have you ever experimented with your own content to try to provide some of that?
I've definitely like when I'm playing like teachers or secretaries or things, like sometimes I'm actually talking about like actual sex and likes and dislikes. And I love the questions. I'm like, how do you, even some of the questions that I answered earlier for Adult Time was, how do you connect with somebody? How do you find out if you guys are on the same sexual level? If one person's interested in role playing, how do you approach that? How do you talk to them? How do you ease into it? How do you use toys? How do you bring in toys? How do you talk about toys? So anytime I can answer those questions, I adore it. And I do it sometimes in my own content when it's like, we're doing this for this reason. And like, he likes that. And then he found out that I like this. So we're going to try this. So, I mean, anytime I can, I think it's just kind of another tool in my arsenal that I can try to bring it to my scenes or to interviews. So I take it
That's
like,
amazing.
very seriously.
That's
I
amazing
like it.
that you took that step too, because I agree with you. Having sex workers participate in their own in the conversation about themselves about sex work is so important.
There was even some parts of the class where like some people were saying slightly inaccurate things, or even like we had one speaker, I like raised my hand. I'm like, well, how do you address like somebody for sex workers being kind of shut out of doing a lot of speaking in front of like classes or colleges? And like, it's becoming more of a thing now. And he was like, oh, you just got to have confidence. And like even the teacher chimed in because he was a guest speaker. He's like, well, no, there is actually a problem with sex workers getting discriminated against when it comes to speaking up about sex or porn. And he was like, oh. And I'm like, oh, so thank you for that non-answer. And like a lot of people don't realize that we really are being shut out of our own conversations. And it's like, if you want to talk to sex work, we want to talk about sex work or sex workers, contact sex workers.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Awesome. Well, please keep going on that track because we need as much representation as we can.
I agree.
All right. So we are going to end today with a final segment. These are more of those types of questions like what you answered earlier.
Please.
We call this rapid fire.
Okay.
These are all shameless clickbait questions. I'm not responsible for any of them.
Okay. So try to go fast.
So, try to go fast. Feel free when you feel so inclined to deliver it right into that camera. Have you ever filmed a scene with your own fleshlight?
Yes. Yeah. I've totally jerked off a guy with my own fleshlight. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Did you have any existential thoughts at that point, or was it more like, this is pretty cool?
Yeah, I was like, this is just kind of fun. And I have one where I was making out with my fleshlight. I use it in an ASMR video as well. I fuck my own fleshlight in an ASMR video. And yeah, practice kissing. Like, this is how you lick pussy. So I even did something like that with my own pussy. It was pretty cool.
Who was your porn crush when you first joined the industry, if you had one?
I always thought like Sasha Grey was really cool, and also because she was one of the earlier porn stars that got a lot of mainstream attention. It's like, wow, she was on the cover of Playboy and she did get into mainstream movies. So she, I think, was, despite what you feel about her personally, was kind of like a big role model for people in the industry, and I really like that. And, Jenna Jameson in her early years, back when she really liked porn, I thought was really cool. I read her book. When I was a teenager. I thought it was a great educational book, even like when it came to stripping.
Yeah.
So kind of the classics. I love the makeup that they had in the old school porn. Brianna Banks, who I actually ended up getting to work with, which was really cool. She was always really nice and fun, and I watched like BTS and stuff of her. Some honestly kind of the classic girls. Like Belladonna I thought was cool too, because then she also turned into a director.
Yep.
So I thought that was really like, wow, okay, you can go from this to this. So yeah, kind of the women who really made something of themselves and who really seemed like they liked porn when they were doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember Belladonna was one of the only kind of names. I wasn't a huge porn watcher before I got into porn, but I remember like something about her, and it's a rare quality, and it speaks to what you said. Like, you can tell when you're watching somebody where it's clear they really love sex.
Yeah.
And it's not something you see. It's not something you see every day, right? So it is a special quality. What's one sex trend that you're seeing in the industry now that surprises you? So, for example, like free use.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're just like, oh, man.
Gosh. It can be tough to see. I think, to be honest, excessively short scenes, because that kind of makes me feel like you weren't really into it in a funny way. Like, a good scene can still be like 10, 15, 20 minutes, but like when you're trying to condense something down, it's like, it kind of bothers me. I'm like, I want to see more. I want to get involved more, especially if I'm in it or they ask me to be a part of it. I'm like, I don't want to do a 5-minute sex scene, even though they're nice little blurbs that you can sell really fast. Like, that's a masturbation scene. Like, that's 5 to 10 minutes for masturbation. But like, kind of when they almost are doing the scene just for the sake of it. Like, there are some podcasts that do sex right after the podcast, and it's the shortest, kind of most boring scene ever. And like, I'm just not really into that so much, to be honest.
Yeah.
I want real porn with people who really like porn and like a real scene.
Yes. 10 minutes minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Do you find that that's happening where like more, you're seeing a shift towards these shorter scenes just based on like people's attention spans, people's budgets, all of those things?
To a degree, but I think that's more a content creation realm. That should stick with the OF or like the MV. Like, that's if you're trying to like cut things down or sell things in parts.
Right.
Like, that's like kind of a good way to do it if you want to try to keep a decent length of a scene. Like, do a part 1, part 2, part 3. But I people do have a short attention span, but I think it's coming back. Like, the people have long ass videos on YouTube that get millions of views. To be honest, my whole thing would be like, I guess it wasn't that good if they're not watching for at least fucking 10 minutes.
I'm doing a risk I'm releasing a movie this month called Hard Stop on Adult Time, and we normally in classic features, you would put them out in parts. I hate doing that because a movie is a movie, you know? But when you have a movie with sex, it has a longer running time than a movie without sex. And so the Hard Stop is 3 hours long.
Wow, cool.
And I'm like, fuck it, release the whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Because, like when you break things into parts, you're inevitably going to have a decline on your views. Yeah. Even if people loved part 1, you're going to have diminishing returns. Like any multi-part of the same story you're going to lose. You're going to get most people in that first one. So I'm like, you know what? They're going to get a 3-hour movie, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's a bit of an experiment in the long form.
That's a good point to make. Is like everybody binge watches now. Like now with all of these like platforms and like the streaming websites. Everybody, we want to binge a show.
Yeah.
I want to binge a show. Like I will watch an entire show in one day if I like possibly can. So I'm very much in agreement that I think people will watch it all the way through if it's good and it keeps them excited.
Yeah.
It keeps them wanting more if they continue to do it.
Absolutely. All right. So last rapid fire that I got for you, Romi Rain. What is the strangest compliment that you've ever gotten from a fan?
Strangest? Oh my gosh. Oh, I have gotten so many interesting ones. I got people say, I really love your calves. Your calves really turn me on. Or I mentioned this earlier to the crew. Somebody be like, I'm not necessarily a foot person, but I love toe cleavage. Like
there
when
you
you
go.
can see like just a little bit of your toes like hanging out like of a tight stiletto or something. And I'm like, that's really interesting.
That is interesting.
I get a lot of people who like nail fetishes because I always have
you always have
done.
bomb nails for sure.
Thank you. So yeah, people like really, I love your nails. Like I love watching you like jerk off with like those nails. Like that's what gets me off. Those are kind of the out of the typical different range of things. Yeah. Or, I love your armpits, things like that.
You have the armpit lovers.
We love the armpits.
You guys help pay the bills, I think Sarah still has a video on ManyVids for this shot like 10 years ago. There's an armpit scene that still gets people buy it, buy it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's always fascinating the details that turn people on.
Yeah,
right?
the tiny things.
Like the toe cleavage. Like for some people, that is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Sexuality is a fascinating thing.
It really is. And there's a fetish for everything.
There's a fetish for everything.
So I'm very open-minded in that way. Very few things surprise me now.
Amazing. So Romi, we've come up with a few good ideas.
Okay.
So we've got some ideas out there. It's been a pleasure to get to know you better. It's been a pleasure to hear about not only your wisdom and your insights and your ideas, but the fact that now I know you've got incredible toe cleavage.
Thank you.
I will never be able to unsee.
Thank you.
So that's amazing.
And maybe you can focus on that in like a scene at some time. Like start from
there
the
you go.
bottom,
We're gonna
hold on
exactly.
the toe cleavage. And
exactly.
then
People
move
will
up.
know that shot originated from this conversation.
I love that.
Thank you so much, Romi. It was a
Thank you
pleasure.
so much.
All right. We did it.
We did it.
Woo!
I don't know. A lot of people go like sushi after anal. I've never had a craving for fish after anal day for some reason.
French fries are fairly safe,
Yeah.
right? So maybe it's just that, like,
It's a comfort food.
It's a comfort food.
It's not, you're not going to come straight out,
Yep.
It'll rest for a minute.